You two were literally the ones who guided me on this path, this allurement and this interest in sexual energy as something that is so potent and powerful. You ever feel like you become a student again to your teachings?
All the fucking time. I studied orgasm for 5 years. This body is trained to have an extended massive orgasm for 3 hours.
God is audacious, and I am a fractal of that. And we all are.
Yeah.
But like, you're really living that out loud, and it shows through in your generosity and in your artistry. And thank you for sharing.
All of us are part of an infinite fabric of creation that will continue long after we are dust.
I can live with me forever. And
That is the power of pleasure, to connect one with oneself in such a deep way that it's life-bringing and life-giving and life-enhancing and expanding.
Hi fam, I am Vylana Marcus. I am a sound alchemist, I'm an artist, I'm a lover, I'm a dreamer, I am a woman. I am here in New York currently, and my dear sister, fellow artist, Maria Crane, and we are in her beautiful studio space where she creates all of her art, embracing the energy of life that is here, which you could totally look at as chaos of all the sounds, but I've really just been allowing myself to settle into feeling it as a symphony of life. And we are about to film with two of the most epic, empowered, embodied women on the planet. My sisters, my teachers, my mentors, Emily Fletcher and Regena Thomasauer. Both Regena and Emily have had very specific codes that have helped me to become the woman that I am today. Every woman who doesn't feel connected to her center, who doesn't feel connected to their desire, who doesn't feel connected to their pussy, these women are here to turn the world back on through pleasure and beauty and fun and radiance and the full range of what it is to be a woman. And so it is an absolute gift and an honor to be in the presence of each of them, and they have so much to offer this series, so I'm so excited to sing for them.
Who are you? Well, who I am, I'm Regena Thomasauer, but I'm also secretly known as Mama Gena.
It's not that much of a secret.
For about the last 25 or 30 years, I have been teaching women to plug into their desires, plug into their turn on, to activate their pussies, and to light up the world.
Well, first and foremost, I am Regena Thomasauer's roommate. Secondly, my name is Emily Fletcher. I am the founder of Ziva. I've taught about 60,000 people. People that I love and respect and admire have learned the Ziva technique and say that it's the first thing that allowed them to actually not only commit to, but love a daily meditation practice. When I started learning these life-changing, transformational practices of pleasure and actually the alchemical power of pleasure that I learned largely from you and from Layla Martin. And it really changed the trajectory and the course of my life.
Our hope is that this podcast and this experience inspire you to set your dreams on their feet and to feel even more deeply the possibility of what you long for, that you can create it, because we have all done that with our lives. And honestly, if we could do it, anyone can do it.
That's right. Well, this is an interesting closing of a chapter because we've been living together for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm already crying. But we're about to...
We're moving.
We're about to move out. We're about to close this chapter of the queendom. We call it Queendom East.
Queendom.
And I'm leaving New York City. And I feel simultaneously like heartbroken and grateful and like so proud of the life that we've created that is so rich that I feel so sad to leave it.
Yeah, truly. Vylana.
Vylana, Vylana, it's all about Vylana. We have the outrageous gift of being serenaded and to receive the magic from this amazing sorceress.
Like truly a sorceress. Truly like the potency of her transmission. Like I don't even know who we're gonna be on the other. It's how great is this? I needed a dose of magic today.
We're both going through death portals of sorts right now. A lot of change, a lot of transformation. And so I feel really excited to feel and to grieve and then to rebirth. That's sort of, if I have a prayer, is that I like come out the birth canal. Because let's be serious, the birth canal is intense.
Well, it's just really
Really long.
It's into miles and miles.
I'm ready for the other side.
Well, as always, you've already blown me away by just introducing yourselves, as not many people can really do that just by introducing themselves. So thank you.
We do our best.
For such a lively, expressive, exciting, emotional, all of the things, just giving us a window into both of you, into your greatness, into this like deep moment of transformation right now. And thank you so much for just like being in the truth of the essence of that, because it's like, you know, people look to people like you know, the teachers, the mentors, and it's like not everyone has it all together. We have our moments that we fall, we have our moments that are devastating, and so much of your work is, you know, about really embracing that. And that's been such a massive, you know, life hack for me to be able to just more fully surrender into those moments. And you know, kind of just on that topic, I was curious, you know, like you having expressed where you're at in this moment, and same with you just going through this big transformation and in some ways a big death portal. Do you ever feel like you become a student again to your teachings?
All the fucking time. Oh my goodness. You know, it's so funny, right? You know, because when you teach, you are up. You know, there's so many projections, like you have your shit together. You do not. You're just more transparent about the shit you do not have together. But I think that it's times like this where I actually do, to the best of my ability, go back to my tools or ask for help or reach out for sisterhood. Like I find so much, I don't know, ability to find myself in connection with my sisters. It's just like, okay, they got me. If they got me, then I'm okay. They're holding my highest and best. Like Emily reminded me today that I'm magical.
You are. You're so magical. And I'm finding myself like in this intensity. I only really want to connect with people who have the ability to hold space for themselves. Because if you don't know how to hold space for yourself, then you certainly don't have space to hold for me in the intensity of this portal right now. And so, because I can tell immediately if I like let people into the window of the transformation and they're like, oh, but this, oh, it's gonna be fine. And they immediately try and fix it or make it feel okay. I'm like, nope, I can't be fully, I can't be fully open and with myself, but I know the second that I reveal the truth, if someone can hold it or not. And that feels like such a gift to have you as a sister in this. And like sometimes we'll just call each other and just cry, or just be
or
in
voice
the real.
note,
Yeah.
voice note each other. That's you know, it's amazing how just like a simple thing like that can just give ease during a difficult time. And I think I really want to encourage anyone who's listening to this that's going through a portal, share. Because there's so much of yourself that you can find when you're willing to be vulnerable and transparent with the people that you're closest with or people that inspire you. It's and the tendency is to want to push it all under the rug and
just hide.
yeah.
But I think what you said is that, especially for teachers, it's like most of us are teaching the medicine that we need the most, right? Like I teach surrender because I am the most controlling, right? So like I have to teach this stuff. I have to remind myself of it all the time.
Totally.
Do you think you're the most controlling?
What do you think? You want to compete? You want to get into a controlling competition?
She's
I'm gonna dom both of them this whole time. Please,
because
somebody.
remember who is running this sand pit. You know what I mean? We're just lying there.
Just desperately trying to surrender. Someone take control. Someone be more. Someone have a bigger energy cock than me.
We're gonna go there this whole conversation. So for anyone who is a little bit more sensitive about edges being pushed, know that they will be very likely pushed because our nature is just very real and authentic and audacious. Well, I appreciated what you said about people who are self-resourced and can hold themselves in those moments, because so much of the work that I did, and I took a 6-month pleasure coaching certification where I actually had your intimate support for a year, which I desperately needed through that death portal I was going through all of last year. One thing that you teach in the School of Womanly Arts is we're not here to fix anybody. And I think when you're in those moments, in those death portals, when you have people that are trying to fix where you're at instead of helping you to just really feel what you feel.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that I noticed even when I was going through my death portal with my husband. The feminine feels like we go into the it's like a circle that just is like this never-ending pit where it's like we go so deep into the felt sense of what is happening, and the masculine's orientation is more to fix or problem solve. We're like, okay, how do we, what do we do about it? And so we were kind of bumping up against this difficulty of not really being able to be connected and communicate because we were both trying to operate differently in those moments. And I would love for you to speak to that, because that was such a huge, a shift that happened in the way that we related to each other, where instead of going into the fixing, he would just take a moment to just feel me. It's okay. And maybe I could even be being crazy in a moment, whatever it was, but it was just like, your experience is valid. I'm going to be patient enough to just give you this, to just be with you in this moment of just feeling you.
Okay, 2 things about that. One, that is exactly what you needed. And it's a very hard thing to transmit. Like for a woman to say to a guy, I want to be felt by you. And that's all. I want you to hear me. I want you to see me. I want you to feel me. And for me, and I want to ask you the question, is there anything that Aubrey does that makes you feel more loved?
Yeah, I mean, it relating to those particular moments and the transformation that happened and how we were communicating and operating, intimately in our relationship, was he would recognize where he was trying to kind of fix or problem solve, and instead he just, was willing to be like, pause.
Yeah.
I just want to feel you right now in what you're feeling, and that willingness of sort of laying down his way of, which for him, that's it's
huge.
just a natural thing to want to, if I'm in pain or there's something wrong in our, not wrong, but we're just navigating something in our relationship, his natural orientation as a man is I want to fix this. I want to make it better. I want to find a solution. That's just how how he's built. But to sort of set that aside enough to recognize what I actually really need in those moments. It's not even for my stories to be validated. No. It's not for me to be right about anything. It's just the moment that I feel like I'm being felt, everything just melts. And then typically whatever I'm experiencing, I'm like, oh, okay, I can move on from that actually, because that's actual true intimacy, because you're actually seeing through each other's eyes. You're with each other in those moments. And so I feel incredibly loved.
And then also with his witnessing, you get to go deeper into you, into your soul's truth, into your expansion of your ability to hold all aspects of you through his loving witnessing. And immediately the very same thing happens to him and for him. His ability to hold space allows him to love the depths of himself because of what he has given you. So it's almost like tracking the feminine, witnessing the feminine expands the masculine. And then with everyone he encounters receives the benefit of that, because he's no longer playing that one note of fixing that most men in our culture were taught to play, because that's how our mothers and our grandmothers, taught their sons and grandsons and so forth.
Yeah. And
so your depth gives him depth and expands both of you to love even more yourself and others.
And it truly it establishes this sense of deep trust.
Oh my goodness.
Like, oh, you've got my back.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm being a total cuckoo crazy person in whatever kind of moment, I'm incredibly dramatic. So, we share that in common. I'm also so totally dramatic, but like in those moments, it feels like I can trust you to hold me, which is what like we all need so deeply. Yeah. I would love for you to reflect if you have anything in relation to, anything in relationships that has felt like in the presence of the masculine you truly feel seen and held.
I think it's all we ever want, is to feel seen and heard. Oprah would say after every single interview, no matter who it was, that afterwards be like, did I do a good job? Like, how was it? And I just want to know, like, was I heard? Was I received? And so I remember when we did our week-long, I think you and Aubrey doing an exercise where you were just doing a conversation. We called it an A-B conversation, where you would share, and then I would just have him say back what I heard you say was, right? And then you would say what I heard you say was. And that, like, if people could just implement that one tool without responding, without arguing, where you could be like, look, the sky is pink. Like, okay, what I heard you say is that the sky is pink. Like, whether or not you agree, whether or not it's true, just say back what you heard. And if people can just implement that one thing with their kids, with their coworkers, with their employees, with their loved ones, you can then get to a shared reality versus trying to argue about who is right.
Yeah, and that's like the pitfall of all relationships, is people trying to argue about who's the right one.
My first therapist, and I was 24 years old, I came with very big hair and very big lashes, and he goes, oh, you are a strong, angry woman. And I was like, no, I'm not. I never feel anger. I'm not angry. Just like repressed rage. Anyway, he said to me, he's like, look, in relationships, you can either be right or you can be happy. And I was like, I will choose right. Thank you.
And it served you pretty well.
I love it. I love being right. I'm also currently single, so it's going great.
It's only been a few days.
I know, it's a hot sec.
It's a moment. Thank you for sharing. So one thing that I would really love to capture in this conversation, because you two were literally the ones who guided me on this path of being so fully in my feminine expression, being so tuned in, plugged in, turned on to my pleasure, to my radiance, to my power, to my strength. And, so much of what I see, and I guess I would actually love to share a little bit about, what I've done with each of you. So I met the first time I ever met Emily was Aubrey, brought her in to guide me through a week-long intensive where I learned Ziva meditation, which was such a massive life hack for anybody who, has a busy, stressful life, anxiety, all of these things, is like, like meditation in a way that is so easy to absorb and to implement in your life. Like, my life does not get any less busy ever. I'm always like, maybe in a month or so. Like, it never gets less busy. But in the practice of doing meditation, it's really changed my life. So first and foremost, thank you for that. But then we also did a sex magic apprenticeship. And so like you were the first one where, I felt this like allurement and this interest in sexual energy as something that is so potent and powerful. And how can you really harness that to become this like supercharged magnet of drawing life towards you instead of life just happening to you. So thank you. I wanted to share that story.
Yeah.
And then with Regena, you know, in our pleasure coaching certification and in the School of Womanly Arts, I mean, I began to reconnect to parts of my feminine. I thought I was good. I thought
And you were.
I'm super in my feminine. And I was great. Like my, sex life was great, all these things. But the depth to which you took me of being able to be in the full range of my expression, which is sometimes pissy and ragey and griefy, and how to really embrace and welcome and surrender into all of those places. But also, the way to transmute everything is through being in your turn on.
Yeah.
By being in your pleasure.
Yeah. And what I saw in you over that year that we worked together was you became so deep inside your own trust of yourself versus anyone else around you. You just kept sinking into, this is my truth, this is my truth, this is my truth, and standing powerfully, like driving that stake in the ground. And that, to me, that was what shifted everything in your world in the most incredible way.
In the most incredible way, because it felt like life around me started to harmonize with what my internal landscape was,
Yes.
which was so clarified in my truth, which was so clarified in what I actually desired.
Yeah.
And that was in the practice constantly of being in my pleasure and being in my turn on as a way of life.
Yeah.
And so, something that I would love for you guys to speak to, because I feel like both of you anchor this very clear, like your battery of just supercharged allurement of being able to come to this city and create all of your dreams. Like what does it look like in your life to become that like super alluring magnet that draws life to you? Like, what does that look like for both of you, and how do you do it?
I think it's really good to start with some kind of devastation. I think that's like the way to begin any good adventure. Because none of us starts out being the pleasure queen, right? I started out coming from like a familial legacy of abuse, in my family. And it was that heartbreak and that depth of rupture that was like the linchpin that like pushed me to be a researcher, and I was willing to do anything to change my life, including connecting with my pleasure, including learning about orgasm. I moved into a sex commune and I studied orgasm for 5 years. This body is trained to have an extended massive orgasm for 3 hours. That's where I got my and once I plugged into that level of radiance, because, that is the source of life, is pleasure, is orgasm, right? I'm plugging in to a part of myself that was bigger than I was. It was bigger than my heartbreak. It was bigger than, my family and the limitations, or it was bigger than my self-doubt. It was bigger than, my lack of confidence. Suddenly I was like source energy. And that eternal part lives inside every human being. And so our work is really about how do we plug into that which is eternal, that lives inside each of us, and source from there. And I think rupture is a great way in.
Yeah, and it really, like when you're sort of just comfortable, you're not really reaching for a lot, but when you're devastated, like you're on your hands and knees looking up at God, like, please, I need help.
Yeah.
Like I need any kind of help.
Yeah.
And that's when you actually go reaching for something. That's when you pick up the book. That's when you listen to the podcast. That's when you're when you're searching. And so I love that. And that creates such a hopeful thing for people in moments of devastation. To hear you say that, like, start with that moment. Like, if you're there, amazing, you're in the right place.
Yeah. But then the searching leads you inside of yourself. That pleasure is sourced inside of you. And that was the big transformation for me, is that even, being on Broadway, I became, world class at moving my body and using my voice in a way that made other people want me. But I did not know my own want. And so it wasn't until I discovered this work that I was able to reclaim that desire as my own, and to honor my desires as divinely inspired. Like, I had said it, even in teaching meditation, because, Ziva has always been mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. And I would say, like, your desires are divinely inspired, but there's a different level of visceral reclamation that happens when you even reclaim your, like, primal, visceral, like, bodily desires as divine, because they've been so shamed for so long. They've been so othered for so long, that if you can reclaim that, like Layla's definition of Tantra is finding God where you thought that it was not. And so anywhere that you thought God was not is such a potent place for reclamation. And because we live in a society that is so othering about it, that the potency of what is there to reclaim as power for yourself is really, really exciting. And I'd say that in the moments of devastation and heartbreak, it reminds me of the peacock. I just think it's worth acknowledging that we're in a studio with a giant peacock here, which is not a coincidence. It was I've recently discovered that my power animal is a peacock. And what's fascinating about that is that peacocks eat poison and transmute it into the beauty that is their feathers. They eat venom. They eat venomous snakes, and it doesn't poison them. It alchemizes into beauty. And that's such a big part of our work. With meditation, you're alchemizing stress into bliss. With pleasure, you're even taking trauma and alchemizing it into the magnetism that fuels your dreams. And that is what is so intoxicating about this work to me.
So to both of you, as this is, something that really encompasses your work, so much around it is, pleasure as a beacon in life. And, for people who, when you say that word, there's sort of like almost an indulgent idea around it. And so I would love for you both to speak to, for people who don't feel comfortable in their pleasure, who don't feel comfortable with their body, who don't feel, like that's an indulgent thing. I would love for you both to speak to, the way that you see pleasure as sort of like truly like a magnet or an arrow to the divine, an arrow to your soul's desire.
It's really a pathway to your desires.
Yeah.
Because you can't, and this is for anybody who feels like, but I don't know what I want. I don't know. I know there's something for me that's bigger than what I have, but I don't know. How you fuel that, how you get there, is through the practice of pleasure, through the discipline of pleasure. And we all see it a million ways, right? It could be something tiny, like we're going on a 3-hour car journey, which we've done. We actually went on a 5-hour car journey. Okay, so you can either like just get in the car and just like drive and just like not get out of that car. And if you have to go to the bathroom, you just hold it because you want to get there on time and you're running behind and you just go. Or if you include the discipline and the practice of pleasure, you pick up snacks. You make a playlist. You fill the car with your friends. You figure out where the most interesting, like, truck stop is going to be on your journey. That's going to be a moment of fascination when you stop there to get gas on your way. Like, you are, you are being thoughtful and you are being deliberate and you are being disciplined to fuel this human body with ecstasy. Because when you, or pleasure is another word, because when you can make ecstasy your reality, it transforms you, it elevates you and everyone around you and connects you more deeply with your truth. And it's really at the end of a life, right? You're not going to remember how many days you worked overtime or you stayed late because your boss told you, or you sat in front of your Zoom screen doing hours and hours of work over, or, teaching millions of classes. The thing you're going to remember are those little moments of pleasure, of joy, of the moment you danced together with your friends, of the moment you cuddled with your buddies on the road. Like, it's going to be those moments that give color, fragrance, depth, meaning, and a sense of spiritual aliveness. And that's why pleasure, because we can actually hold space for that which is greater by creating beauty and creating pleasure, which is why you made this, we could have just done this on a hard wooden floor, but
not with Vylana Marcus.
We're going to be on fluffy shit. Yes, we are.
And I want to celebrate you because I've gotten to see you up close and personal. And I think maybe not your next book, but a book, The Discipline of Pleasure. Can we just put that in there? Because it's so good.
It's a discipline.
But this woman, like, it's not just when she's on the Instagram Live. It's not just when she's teaching. It is in the devastation. It is in the heartbreak. It is in the time when everything falls apart that she is dancing with her eros, that she is creating courtesan nights where the whole point is the elevation of not just her own, but her sister's pleasure. I see the discipline, I see the investment that you put in it, and it has been such medicine for me because very recently, like a couple of years ago, I didn't really, I was a little allergic to the word pleasure. Like, even the word felt indulgent. It felt like a toy store or something, like an adult toy shop or something. Like, it felt like I could feel the judgment even in the word. And I think similarly now, the way that I am so effusive about meditation, where I'm like, meditation is the least selfish thing that you can do. Like, you handling the stress in your own brain is not just good for you, but it is good for your children and your children's children and your coworkers. And how dare you take that stress into the world? I now have that same level of righteousness about pleasure. But just a few years ago, I was very judgmental of it.
Oh, you know what? It's so
I went from judgmental to righteous very quickly. Are you proud of me?
Her bedroom is filled with so many pleasurable things. It's like an adult playground. She has like the amethyst mat.
Oh, yeah, the biomat, the altar.
She has like an altar, like fluffy things are happening.
I learned it from watching you.
Listen, now you're taking it even further. It's great. It's just really great. It's beautiful to see and experience. And it is a way of serving others. To make sure, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It's like pleasure.
A dance
is a thought. It's just taking the time for that thought. I notice you too. You are exquisite in your attention to your pleasures.
I am pretty.
You're pretty damn good.
I'm pretty. Yeah. I mean, what else is the point of life than for it not to be pleasurable? And that doesn't mean that that's the only note that you're hitting all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's as you say, like the 88 keys of your piano, and you're going to play all of them, and it's important as a human being to not bypass any of those. But for me, truly, pleasure is the beacon for us to be able to sit here, and it feels good.
It really does.
And I'm not going to go too deep into the Dharma with my teacher, Mark Gaffney, but one of the things that he says is life evolves because it is pleasurable. Life evolves because it feels good. If you literally think of every single, if you look at being a human being, at all the most enriching experiences, purpose, family, love, being of service, your friendships and relationships, all of those at the core of them are pleasurable experiences. And so just adding so much onto what you guys have shared, it just pleasure is the arrow that's aiming you at the target. And it requires a level of devotion, because it's easy to just get into the throes of things and just, be working really hard and achieving and being really goal oriented. But if you're never slowing down or paying enough attention. And I think that's another aspect of it too. It's the attention that you place. This was created with so much care and attention for it to be a pleasurable, beautiful experience, because that is a vibration.
And then what we put our attention on grows. So as you put your attention on pleasure, that pleasure grows. And I would say the thing that has really drawn me to this work and that has lit me up is that it is a pathway to the divine. That even if I'm in practice with myself or with sisters or leading a group or even in a play experience, it's like, oh, the presence of the divine is so there because it is creation energy, right? Like the very same energy that can create a human being, which is the most divine thing we can do as humans, is the same thing that can create a movement, a book, launch a whole campaign, but it's the same creation energy. And I think that because there has been such a long and effective campaign from divorcing us from this particular flavor of our divinity that we've forgotten how holy it really is.
Yes. Yes. And thank you to both of you for really, you know, I really felt in my life like my sex is great, and you know, like I didn't really know the levels that you could reach to really accessing, you know, as you said, to really accessing divinity, to really accessing, you know, my highest timelines. You know, it's like something about being in the like supercharged energy of being in pleasure. Like it feels like it's directly connecting you even to your dharma. Because it feels good, you know.
In your album, when you're like, take me to God, I'm like, yes, Vylana, take us to God.
yes, that's it.
Take me to God.
And if you think about it, pleasure is limitless.
There's no ceiling.
It's, you know, you can have like the best, most exquisite meal, and then you can have another that's even more exquisite.
There's more dessert. There's a
And
separate.
then you can have, yes. Yeah. And whereas pain is limited, right? If you have a certain level of pain, you die. Like,
Wait, say that again.
pleasure's limitless.
Okay, no
it
ceiling.
can keep expanding.
Got it.
But pain,
If it's too much,
if
you
it's too
die.
much, you'll die. Like even, I learned something that even if you have a sound that is too loud, like that can kill you. Just the volume of sound can kill a human being.
Well, you know, people are now getting
pressure.
sick from the Bitcoin mines, from the sound. They're getting sick because it's a constant droning sound. Anyway, it's a podcast for another day, but
Podcast for another day.
I am.
There you
That is
go.
not our unique sound. We're going to do the opposite of that today.
It's not our unique sound.
It's not our unique sound. Not Vylana's unique sound.
Wow. All right, you'll explain that to me later.
Okay.
But you know, so or too much pressure will kill a person, or too much force, or too, you know. So it's like incredible to think that there's an infinity.
Should we try it? Should we test it? See if we can find the upper limits?
No, we are.
You're right.
As
You're right. It's happening now. It's happening now.
That's what we're doing in this lifetime.
Okay, great. I'm in.
You're on the path.
Don't worry, baby. Put me in, coach. How much more? How good can it get? How good can it get? Let's find out.
And I appreciate, you know, just talking about pain, you know, like through your teachings in the most devastating moment of my life where I like couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was crying all day long. My mind was just riddled with fear. I mean, we were speaking quite often, and it was just so, I mean, just ultimate devastation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what life is anymore. And
I mean,
I don't know who I am anymore.
yeah.
But in those moments, what I recognized through the tools and the technologies that you teach is I actually have the authority and the agency to choose on a daily basis the way that I want to start my day.
Yeah.
And so every single morning, while I was completely devastated and broken into pieces all over the floor, I decided I'm going to wake up, and for 10 minutes every morning, I'm going to write what I desire. Not from a place of, you know, everyone has free will. You can't control what people do, but you can tap into the way that you want to feel.
Yeah.
You can tap into, what does that look like on the other side of this? Who do I become on the other side of this? And so every single day I would get so clarified in what I was desiring in those moments. And then to amplify my desires, I would turn on my favorite song to twerk to, and I would get in the mirror and I would twerk, and it was like I was flirting and calling in those desires through the pleasure portal of my body, and only in practice with myself. And that's something that
That's really damn good. That is a beautiful and amazing practice, because when you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel, you can only see the tunnel. To hold that one day there will be a light. That one day I will be sitting on a bunch of cushions on the floor of a loft in New York City with my life so overflowing with depths of connection between you and Aubrey, and all the deepening friendships and family ships that are circulating around you, and the opportunities in your work. Like, it would be unimaginable to have even thought of this moment.
No.
And yet you were creating that with your desires and your twerking. I don't know,
And like
which
the
was more
devastation
valuable.
was like tilling up the soil.
That's right.
It was the devastation was the putting the fertilizer.
You are right.
And then you planted those seeds in that fertile soil, and you watered it with your tears.
Yeah.
And now
That's what we're
it
doing
is-
now.
Yeah, we're watering it with our tears. We're in the devastation phase right now.
She has to teach us how to twerk
But
before we leave
but
here
if this
today.
is our low, then I think we're doing pretty good.
Not bad.
Like, it's sad, but like, come on. Like, okay, if this is my valley.
If I can sit here and say anything, the light at the other end of the tunnel is even beyond. Like, when you're only seeing the tunnel, it's like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, but I'm going to tune into my desire. I'm going to plug myself into my turn on, and doing that as a practice that I was devoted to every single day, it started to give me hope, because what it did was it started to give me my power back. Into myself, instead of all of the fears of everything that was happening in my reality that I could not control. And it plugged me back into feeling like I can live with me forever.
That is so beautiful.
I can live with me
and
forever.
that is the power of pleasure. To connect with oneself in such a deep way that it's life-bringing and life-giving and life-enhancing and expanding. It's and here's the cool part. We have free will. We can have a mediocre life, do nothing, Netflix, Cheetos. Not that I would know a Cheeto. Maybe, intimately, sort of. But you can either do that, or you can choose like, no, I am going to choose pleasure. It's uphill. It is an uphill battle, but I am going to choose pleasure right now. And we have that option. It is not simple, and it's so heroic. Is there anything more heroic when you see somebody in the middle of devastation choosing their aliveness?
Well, and it's the, as you teach, like, it's the alchemy.
Yeah.
That's the alchemy. That's what turns lead into gold. Like, because I was broken, if I was a vase, I was just broken into a million pieces on the floor. And then slowly but surely, I think it's called kintsugi. Kintsugi, yeah. How they will break a vase, but then they put it back together, but it has gold. So it's like, it actually comes back together more beautiful.
Yeah.
Like reborn in its form, and really that was the doorway and the pathway for me. It was just like, both of your teachings, and something else I would love for you to speak to as well, because I think this is so rich for anyone that's listening, is like, in those moments of devastation, like, what does it look like to really embrace it? And not
embrace what?
To
the
really,
devastation?
to really embrace just all of the colors of grief and, fear and sorrow and depression, how do you be with that?
How do you tune your instrument to that? Like, you gave a good example of it, because you were talking about how you plugged into your desires and then you put music to it. I think a great way to plug into the different faces of your darkness is through music. Like when I was going through my breakup with Peter, what I would do is I would like put on a song that shattered me and just brought me to, my knees in grief, because then I could feel that. And honestly, when you are like deeply living an experience of your own devastation, there is beauty in it. There is turn on in it, and there's pleasure in it, because you feel like, oh, I am the embodiment of a destroyed, heartbroken woman right now. Oh, whoa, I am doing it so well to this music. You know how like when you break up with somebody and there's a song that just brings that whole thing back to you, So it's a way of sort of making the experience of feeling that hunk of darkness. It turns it into like poetry within the experience, where it's not like a sword that's going to cut you off from your aliveness, but it actually brings you to your aliveness. Because don't you want to have, like in a life well lived, you don't want it to just be happy all the time. That'd be so dull. Yeah. You want it to be that like you can't even breathe because you're so devastated, or you're so jealous, or you're so outraged at the state of the world, like then you're living well. Yeah. Because you've felt the fullness of what it means to be an alive, enlivened human being, experiencing the richness of, the gift of every facet. It's like Mother Nature, right? It's not just sunny days that we celebrate. Like, it's so much fun to be in a storm or a hailstorm or an ice storm or hurricane. Like, every facet is magnificent.
But the fact that you have taken that concept and like created swamping and creating this simple but profound tool of like giving people like, oh, I'm gonna put music to my rage, I'm gonna put music to my sorrow, and then I'm gonna alchemize it with my turn on. Like, it's so simple, and I think that the most profound genius comes from simplicity. And I think that because when you're in the moments of devastation, there is no time for erudite philosophy. It's just like put on the song and move it. And if you believe that the feelings are meant for feeling and that feelings are meant to be felt, which I do, then the music gives you this tool to embody it fully. And like you said, then you find the kernel of ecstasy in the expression of the feeling. And then that kernel of ecstasy gets bigger and bigger. And then that flame becomes the alchemical force that you can do with whatever you desire, but not if you're spending so much energy trying not to feel.
Yeah, it's so interesting. These guys invited me to do a talk at Arcadia. So I'd never met their crowd before. Their crowd's amazing. And game as fuck.
Yeah.
So
best time I've ever had on stage.
Yeah, I get there and I had the thought, it was like I know that it seems to be getting more intense, what's happening with our earth, our climate, our politics, women's rights, human rights. It was a super intense moment that when we had Arcadia last November. And so I just thought, I wonder if anybody here would just like to embody those feelings. It was as if, I don't know, it was like Niagara Falls exploded in that room. Everyone, I didn't even turn the music on because the sound guy was asleep at the time because he'd had a late night. But
it's a good party. It was a good party.
Everyone was so ready to just like rage together and grieve together, because then we're like actually processing the truth of what it means to be a human being right now. We're all on a planet that is so vulnerable, living in a time that is so uncertain, and we are all destabilized in ways that are very different now than a number of years ago. And so to be able to just grieve that grief together, rage that rage together, was so magnificent, and so it kind of like connected all of us for what was to come over the next few days. It was absolutely incredible. So grateful for that.
And I mean, that alone too just felt like, we're all part of the collective. So anything that any one of us does is important. And if you think of everything in life as energy, for that portal that you created of so much movement of energy, because people just don't really know what to do when you look out at what's happening in the world.
Or they've been told since they were infants not to cry. You're okay, don't cry, have a bottle, don't cry, have a toy, don't cry, have a screen, don't cry, have some wine, have some booze, but do not feel. We've been trained since infancy not to feel. And so to have like modalities and tools to be like, your feeling is welcome here. All of you is welcome here. To be like, I am not suffering alone and I can do this out loud and I can alchemize it in community is such an outrageous gift.
Yeah.
And really like a prayer for the whole world.
Yes.
Like you really can look at it like that. Just having that many people together that are so willing to go full out, and like that transmission happening in real time, and just really, it was a release of so much energy.
Yeah.
Because then you plugged them all back into their turn on, and that all got to get alchemized, and thousands of people got to do that
Wouldn't
together.
it be great if we could all do that every day together?
Oh yeah.
Or like maybe en masse at like the sacred sites on the planet, just maybe like the three of us, and like also, just saying.
1,000 people.
I mean, it would
Just
be
like at the pyramids.
It would be an amazing thing. It's stadiums. Like,
Well, it was originally the stadium, but then the guide said it's bigger than the stadium. So now it's going to be at the pyramids.
fine.
Stay tuned.
Pyramids.
Stay tuned. We're just going to activate the sacred sites. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
And offer our pleasure as a prayer. To pray not only for ourselves, but what do we collectively want to birth? Like, what do we want to create? We have this magnetism, we have this power. It's been installed in every single one of us. And so if we remember how holy it is, and then we together get into coherence and point it towards the more beautiful earth that our hearts know is possible, thank you, Charles Eisenstein, for that beautiful quote, then we can create whatever reality we want.
Yeah, and that's so much of your work too. I love that you touched on that, because I was going to ask you just to speak to like your pleasure prayer, because it's not only for self. It's like, how can you harness the divinity of that energy with a prayer?
Yeah.
With a prayer that's beyond you, with a prayer that's for the collective, with a prayer that's for our dear mother that we take for granted so often.
Well, speaking of Charles Eisenstein, he said, what if we stopped seeing the earth as our mother and started treating her as our lover? And I was like, yes, a reciprocal, respectful, like mutually beneficial relationship where we are giving and receiving, instead of just a selfless mother who is willing to give all that she has until she is depleted. Like, we need to change that relationship into one of lover and not mother. I mean, it would be great if we all had really healthy relationships with our moms, but it's like, she doesn't really owe us anything. Like, it's a privilege to be here. And what if we were to shift that relationship and then offer our pleasure as a prayer, yes, for her, but also to what the human experience wants to be on the limited amount of time that we potentially have left on her.
I know, I was just thinking of the Madonna song.
Which one?
I'm just going, life is a mystery, everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home.
When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. Down on my knees, I wanna take you there. In the midnight hour, I can feel your power, just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there. Thank you, Madonna. Thank you, Madonna.
Thank you. Well, our prayer is a pleasure prayer.
That's right. We'll write that song next. Ooh, wait, maybe, yeah. We write that song, Pleasure Prayer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Take me to God. It just has one line of request. Take me to God.
Take me to God.
You already are God, or goddess,
Take
yes.
me to pussy.
One other thing that I would love, I haven't personally heard you speak to it, Emily, but I've heard other people who have heard you speak to it. And it's something that encompasses my life in a way with my teacher, Mark Gaffney, around this idea of eros and what exactly that is. And it feels like it's so much a part of your work. It's so much a part of pleasure, and would love for you to speak to your personal definition of what that is.
Yeah, I don't know if this is correct or not, but I'll just share what it feels like for me, is that it feels like consciousness is, right? Like my definition of God is the collective consciousness of all that is. So the thing that animates you and you and you, so the collective consciousness of all that is. But eros is the magnetism that holds the consciousness together. So I feel like eros is the magnetism that holds the DNA strands together. It's the force that allows the galaxies to spin around each other. It is the thing that draws us to each other as friends and lovers and co-creators. And so it's like, yes, consciousness, yes, we want to expand it through meditation, but the eros, the turn on, can be the magnetic force that allows you to like activate not only the generator, but the electromagnetic field in your body to become a magnet for that which you desire. And so the thing that, because I was teaching manifesting just from the neck up for most of my career, and it works. Thoughts become things. What you put your attention on grows. But the heart, the electromagnetic field of the heart is 5,000 times more powerful than that of the head. But then when you get head, heart, and hoo-ha all lined up together and pointed towards your dreams, it becomes this like exponential increase in magnetic power.
And how do you do that personally in your life?
How do I magnetize? Well, I mean, so it's been this past 4 years. It felt like nature just started fire hosing me with this PhD and these practices. It was just like, oh wait, Regena's going to be your roommate and Layla's going to be your best friend. And it was just like, wow, thank you. And it felt like such a gift. But nature it felt like it was not just for me. It was like, hey, you know the thing you did for meditation? Well, now it's time to do this for these even more potent and even more taboo modalities, and take your ability to translate it and take your like the trustworthiness that is in your transmission and now bring these tools to a different audience. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for letting me use the word hoo-ha. Because I know that like, but
Regena.
Just makes me want to go.
I know. But like, I just feel like the stages I'm going to be on, I'm not going to be able to say that people I'm going to be your Trojan horse and I'm going to throw the net wide and then they're going to go deep with you.
I'm on your pussy train.
Yes,
pussy.
me too, personally. But I know my audience.
Yes.
So for me personally, what's been happening the past 4 years is just this like sculpting and refining of like what is the modality that works for me. And the really simple formula that I found is visualize, alchemize, magnetize. So visualize, what is it that you want? So even in your moment of devastation, right, you're writing down, this is what I would love. And a lot of people don't know what they want because they've been divorced from their physical desires. But once you're clear on that vision, then you alchemize, right, which is very much inspired by Regena's beautiful technology of swamping. We're just giving people the tools to move it and adding in a bit of internal family systems, like finding that inner child that was told to be quiet and finding that inner protector and giving them the tools to feel. And then from that place, finding the ecstasy in the expression of those feelings, and then allowing that ecstasy, allowing that eros to magnetize the dreams. And so for me personally, I'll meditate, like I do Ziva meditation, and then I will go into a manifestation practice. It's like, what would I love? And then if there's something blocking it, I'll move it, I'll dance it, and then I will do pleasure practices, sometimes with breath, sometimes with physical, stimulation, sometimes with singing.
Do you mean self-pleasuring?
I mean self-pleasuring, my hoo-ha, or my pussy. Yep. And just this morning, and actually this is one of my favorite things, is inviting, like for me, it's Isis. Like I have this beautiful relationship with Isis, the Egyptian goddess of motherhood and fertility and sex magic, but I will invite her in to my body. And this has been such a revolutionary concept. It's just like we need the unseen. We need the gods and goddesses. Like they need us too, to taste food, to feel pleasure, to have hugs. And so offering my body as an act of like, please use me. Like, please experience this pleasure through my body. You've given me so much. Like, please like allow this vessel to be a gift, a small gift in return for the majesty that you have given me of this life.
Yeah, so for people who feel like, what did I just hear? Where do I even start? Like, how do I begin on this kind of path? Like, what would you suggest for them? if this is just like totally like we just landed on planet Mars and it's like a whole new culture. And
I would say step one is read Regena's book, Pussy, A Reclamation. It's required reading for every person, all genders. It's a masterpiece. It's so well written. Your mastery of the English language. It's so good. And obviously I'm biased, but I would say meditation. Like the meditation is going to give yourself the ability to regulate your nervous system, to allow you to feel safe when you come up against the edges, which you will. There's no way you go into any sort of pleasure work or any sort of manifestation work and don't come up against your undeservingness or your shame or your conditioning. But the meditation will give you a way to regulate your nervous system so that when those inevitable walls come, you can source safety inside of your own body. And then, Regena has a whole host of, it's just 30 years of amazing pleasure practices. I have something coming really soon, which I think we're going to reveal the name of right now, which we shot with Everett, who's shooting this course here, but it's called Ziva Magic. And it's going to be this beautiful, like, starter place of how do I even get clear on what it is that I want? How do I alchemize this thing standing in the way? And how do I start to increase this magnetism in my body, and in a way that's really like beginner friendly, right? I think that's my gift, is like, how do you translate it into an audience that's scared? And it's like, oh no, I'm gonna go to hell for doing this, or this feels self-indulgent. And it's just like the science behind like why these things really matter. So that'll be my starter kit, but I'm curious to hear yours.
Mine would be that this work is not for everybody. If you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking like, who are these Looney Tunes right now? What are they talking about? Then you just know this is not for me right now, and that's cool. If you're somebody listening and you're feeling like, wow, like how would I even, if I even wanted to go down that path, how might I take a step? Step one. Trust that we crossed your path at exactly the right moment in time. And this moment is the beginning. It's the first tiny step on a journey. Let us hold space for you to know that from here forward, even with the inclusion of one tiny, teeny, tiny drop of pleasure each day, when you make your coffee or your tea tomorrow morning, stop and think, which mug would I like to hold in my hands? And what creamer would make me feel the best? Pour into that mug so that you are choosing you. You are saying yes to you. You are saying yes to a tiny drop of pleasure. Because if you can do that once, it's going to give you the same equivalent drop of courage to take the next step. And then the next of trusting yourself, which is the whole point of all this shit. And I trust you. And I know you got this.
it works.
It works.
It works. What I could say from my personal experience of both of you, the biggest transformations of my life, other than plant medicine ceremonies. Like,
Are you calling us plant medicine ceremony? We're like
you're like living ayahuasca, but it's like the pleasurable, blissful, amazing ceremony that you definitely want. So, thank you both so much for your essence, for everything that it took for you to be exactly as you are, because you are such beacons of light and hope and power, just witnessing, the feminine that can stand like so authentically and exactly who she is what the world needs so much. And so I'm really very, very excited for all that we have received from the two of you and the just enriching nature of this conversation. I'm so deeply honored to now sing for the
We are so honored to have you. Like, whoa. We are in your hands, my love. Wow.
Graciously, gratefully.
And I will be so delicate and loving and for
Or
all-
not.
You can be rough with us. We can handle it.
You can rough her up a little.
yeah, maybe there'll be a little doming in there, but we are going to bring through a transmission of everything that is already enriching this field of simply your essence, but everything that we have spoken to for all of our journeys that are imbued in this space. And we're going to bring through a transmission to get people to connect with everything that we are talking about and to deeply, deeply just nourish and nurture all of those places in you that are
Thank
ready
you.
to receive.
We're
So,
ready. We are ready for you. Oh, thank you. Yay.
Inviting you to take a gentle breath into this moment, into your body, inhaling through your nose and exhaling, landing more deeply into this space, into this temple, into this moment where we get to interface directly to the divine. Calling on all of our higher guidance, our highest healing teams, and our highest selves. Calling on Isis, all the divine feminine ascended masters, and all beings of light and unconditional love, asking for you to move through my voice, to move through these frequencies and this sound transmission. Everything that is in the highest healing, expansion, activation for Emily Fletcher and Regena Thomas Hauer, and for everyone listening in the highest good of all.
Shh.
Taking a moment to just presence to the profundity of life, of sound, of yourselves. Feeling this transmission so specific to your essence, your unique sound. That beautiful, that enriching, that activating, that pleasurable. And taking one or both of your hands and placing them on your heart. And just thanking yourselves for being. Thank you for your feminine leadership. Thank you for giving us all permission to be so radically, authentically ourselves. By showing what it looks like and being a model of what's possible. May these frequencies continue to enrich your life from here forward. And just taking a collective breath together in through the nose. Exhaling and landing back into your physical body, into this present moment. Beginning to bring a little bit of movement to your body, starting to wake back up from wherever you have journeyed. You really put us in the right position, Emily, because we got taken to God. Take us to God. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
That was amazing. I did not realize that I needed to go into the depths, but I did.
I think he used the word drenched. I didn't know I needed to be drenched in you. We just got drenched.
We
in
just
Vylana.
totally. That was so exquisitely beautiful, and I feel so like refreshed with just like it's a new vista, it's a new window, it's this place of like endless magic and magnificence.
Yes.
I would say I am generosity. That's what I would say. But maybe it's you that is generosity. I can't tell if it's you. I mean, but it feels like I'm drenched in generosity. It's so amazing.
That is so fitting for you.
For you. And for this whole experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would love like for you to describe, describe that I am. Like what is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like as a code?
Okay. It feels like I am limitless in my creative flow. I am with like effortless, abundant life is coursing through me or I am coursing through. It's a sense of connectedness between like the exquisite beauty here, the exquisite beauty here, the exquisite beauty here, the exquisite beauty on that harp, like the exquisite beauty of sound and its ability to penetrate and transport and take us all. And then to have the experience of being taken by you to this like deep place of hypnagogic. Like it just seems like the perfect word for right now. How about you?
Yeah. Okay. I'll talk about my experience, or do you want me to say my word? I am.
No, you definitely share what your experience was like. Yeah.
Okay.
All of it.
Yeah, so all of it. So my experience felt healing. I cried. I felt like I was able to have a moment. It didn't even feel like grief. It felt like a celebration of what is and what was. Like the things that are ending. Like gratitude for how beautiful they have been. And then like stepping into the unknown with this place of look how much magic has been created. Why would I think that that would stop? Just because this chapter is ending does not mean that the magic is ending. And what I love about the sound, and specifically your transmission of the sound, is that you really do bring the frequency of heaven to earth. You are such a portal. You are such a channel. And then when you tune into that frequency of heaven on earth, like the way that it plays my body, like my body moves and I am being moved. It's like your voice is playing my body like an instrument. And that, it feels like someone said, oh, you were conducting. And I was like, no, I was being conducted. But it was both. It was masculine and feminine. It was giving and receiving. And when you were saying, oh, the music is penetrating me, it felt like, oh, the music is both masculine and feminine, right? It is penetrating, but it is also outrageously flowing and encapsulating. And I've never thought of music as both masculine and feminine before. But I think that's also in your transmission and in your frequency. But whoa. And as far as I am, like I am magic. Like I am magic. We are all magic. We are living magic. The fact that we exist is magic. The fact that we can make beauty, that we can see beauty, make art, like is such a gift. And that even the tears can be beautiful. Like, have a death portal, but make it sexy.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you too, because I am, and thank you, Elena, for, oh my gosh.
Oh, Elena. Wow.
Playing the harp. It was so beautiful that I just was grinning ear to ear, almost
How did you
laughing because it
even-
was so stunning.
It was so stunning. How did you even think of adding the harp? That was such an inspiring choice.
We really, for the two of you who are high priestesses in their own right to the, greatest extent, feeling into how we could make this space feel so much like a temple. And, the harp, there was like a, assortment of different possibilities, and just really felt like the harp just feels so temple space activating.
But it's so fearless of you to just plunge in with a whole other instrument that you've never played with before.
Yeah.
And you just knew, okay, this is going to be exquisite, and it was. Another word that maybe it's my word for you, fearless.
Thank you.
Like you just dive just so easily off the cliff of improvisation and feeling your way through, like no hesitation. It's remarkable.
What I see and what I feel so like in devotion of as your friend is your, like the way that you plug into the divine and the way that you listen to your guides and the way that you honor them, and you honor them through your confidence. You honor them through your generosity. It's like, I think the generosity piece of like, I can give so much because I am being given so much.
Yes.
And there is this deep commitment to the divine channel that flows through you. Just like, what is there to be insecure about? Because it's not mine, right? Like, yes, this is audacious, but so is God. Right? Like God is audacious, and I am a fractal of that, and we all are.
Yeah.
But like you're really living that out loud, and it shows through in your generosity and in your artistry. And thank you for sharing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Creating these spaces and using my voice in this way is my direct connection to the divine, because there's no there's no part of me that is like planning, I'm gonna do this and then I sing this note. It's just like I just sit down and I know where I want to start and then I just start singing, and it's truly like it's interfacing with the divine, but it's also listening so deeply to the field that you are in, which is, you know, which is a transmission of the two of you, which I've sang individually for each one of you, which was absolutely extraordinary, but having all of the richness of our conversation and this whole journey that we've been on today, and the journey that we've been on in our lives, and being able to, and the journey of this moment of what's happening in this, you know, transformative moment, and to be able to sing, you know, like it felt like singing eros. Like it felt truly like singing eros, where it was just like this is this like just this, the most pleasurable temple of just like goddess loves you so much. Like you're so on the right pathway of understanding, like in so many ways, the meaning of life in a way that you can truly transmit to other people through your embodiment. And so the whole, I mean, it felt like singing in the temples, like truly. And so feeling the vision of, you know, like, again, creating this, I'm listening to my guidance, you know, like, it's like, if you have to have a plan and you have to take action, but ultimately it's like, I drop in and I really just listen and I try to see it. And, you know, if it can be created, like with, you know, the dream team that I have, like we're going to create it. And so
is that listening happening before? Like, I'm just curious. I imagine many people listening to this either are sound healers or want to be them, or inspired by you. Like, I know I am inspired by you. Like when I sit down with the bowls, I oftentimes think of you or hear you. And obviously everyone's channel is unique, but it's the broad, like we have like a broadband connection. And so I'm curious, like I'm asking selfishly for myself, but also for anyone listening, like if they wanted to develop that ability to listen, to see the field, to sing into the field that is happening, like how would you help people to like do their version of your...
Yeah, I mean, I would say a really great place to start, and this is pretty much where I started. I mean, all that's required is just your voice and a willingness to use it. And so toning is just singing whatever, you know, intuitive thing comes through. But when you're just singing alone, it needs to have a direction. It needs an intention. It needs a prayer of like, okay, I'm sitting down and I want to work on, you know, healing my heart. And the same way that you were talking about music and moving energy through your body, it's like if you create a pathway and a channel of where you want the sound to come from, or for whatever your prayer is for how it will work, that's like a really, really big key. And it's really fascinating because in sound healing, you know, we've really adopted like the 7 chakras, you know, in Hinduism, but then there's like dantians and, you know, I think Chinese, I apologize if I'm totally uneducated, but they believe that there are different energy centers. So not everybody agrees on everything. And there was a book that I read by Jonathan Goldman, but what he said was, in all of these cultures, they're still finding sound as a technology that's extraordinary for healing. And what the common thread through all of them is actually that there's an intention.
What was your intention for today?
That was my intention for today. My intention was to, one, really bring through whatever frequencies could like nurture and nourish you guys both in this moment in the greatest way.
Thank you for
first
that.
and foremost, that personal prayer, but also to transmit the codes that both of you hold for all of the gifts that you have given me, for the generosity of what you give to the world through your teachings. And actually, you know, it was also really to, you know, create the temple space for like pleasure to be divinity, and for, you know, eros to come alive in through sound. And so Yeah, that was my
You did it.
for
You
today.
did it.
Yeah, truly, thank you, because I think that for so many people that is going to be revolutionary. The fact that pleasure can be holy, that, oh, it could be an act of worship, that activating this beautiful magnetism inside of you could be a way to celebrate all that is, like, is so far away from what we are taught
Totally.
around sexuality and around sensuality.
And that it's also giving and receiving at the same time.
Ooh, say more.
Well, that's what you were doing, right? You were giving to us.
Yeah.
And you were giving, we were receiving. You were also receiving
received
so much. It was like a
and it's not just the divine channel that's coming through, but also your vibrations, like your beings, your like soul essence imbues my throat chakra with something that is new and novel. And for me, when I, you know, I love on the other end of singing when it surprises me because it's not, you know, it is my voice, and it is also so much greater than me. And you know, another on that note of just like people who are looking to just like develop their voice, and it's really, it's like going to the gym. It's just sitting down, it's doing it, it's practicing, it's doing it for other people. So if you start with an intention or a prayer, and then you just sing to yourself, if you can get, you know, some kind of instrument, a good crystal bowl, Tibetan bowl, a shruti box, they all have different qualities. But for me, I didn't sing the way that I did before I started playing with different frequencies, before I started playing with different instruments. And I've noticed for myself that the instruments actually inform my voice. And they open up spaces in my voice that I didn't have access to before. So even working with different kinds of crystal bowls that have, maybe this one has, you know, moldavite or, you know, gold or emerald or whatever it may be, and they all have such different qualities that those have also been really expansive for my voice. But I mean, any instrument, a drum, you know, but it's like really allowing for that to sort of, and it feels like an accompaniment, so it doesn't feel so vulnerable. But then also, you know, just trusting yourself, trusting that even when something is dissonant, you know, maybe you're doing a sound healing for somebody and you accidentally smack something, like dissonance also has intelligence. And it's like, it's learning how to just develop that deep sense of trust that like, I am, like, it's almost like shape shifting. Like I'm listening so deeply that I am that which is needed. And I trust that. And you have to mess up, and you have to not trust yourself, and you have to go through those initiations to just feel like, oh, okay, I didn't die today. You know, like, and I'm going to just keep showing up, and I'm just going to keep trying. And, you know, and so that's really been a big part of my journey. But yeah. I
thank you so much. Love you so much.
It's insane. Do you guys feel, how do you feel, you know, after being on this journey that we've been on all day, how do you, if you could speak to the way that you feel different on the other side?
I feel refreshed, you know, like refreshed. And I feel like the focus has changed to where, let's say, all of us are part of an infinite fabric of creation that will continue long after we are dust, and that we are so gifted to be part of right now. So there was something just like, it awakened an eternal part of me that feels very beautiful inside. Yeah. Thank you.
So well said. I would say I feel much more reconnected to my channel. Like, you know, you are such a channel, and obviously we're all tuning forks. And so I just feel like plugged into the divine. And I feel like the frequency of that which cannot be named flowing through me, which feels so delicious. And yeah, like, would you say the infinite fabric of all that is? Yeah, just like part of the grand tapestry.
Yes. Thank you both so much for doing, yes, let's celebrate. Yeah. And for everyone who I'm sure just fell so deeply in love with you that they can't impossibly live without you, can you let them know where they can find you and anything that is alive that you're doing in the world, that your offerings, anything like that?
My website is mamagenas.com, MAMAGENAS.com, and there's always something cooking in Mama's Kitchen. We'll have just launched the coaching cert.
Pleasure coaching certification.
That's coming up in September. And yeah, there's always something fun going on.
And read her book, Pussy a Reclamation.
Yes.
You're welcome in advance.
Yeah, and my world is zivameditation.com. So it's ZIVA meditation.com. And we are birthing something very, very, very exciting, inspired very much by the two of you, informed very much by the two of you. Like both of your transmissions are inside of this. I would call it a course, but it feels bigger than a course. It's like a documentary film. We basically like captured a retreat, documentary style, but you're going to learn to visualize, alchemize, and magnetize, and that is called Ziva Magic. It's like just about to come out. And so yeah, that's all at zivameditation.com.
And we will add your Instagrams and everything to the show notes. So check them
And
out.
what's cooking in your kitchen?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the biggest meal in my kitchen that I am.
And what's your magic wand? Like, can you share? Like, what's your dream of dreams for this show? Let's while the portal's open, let's say the prayer. You got two manifestation goddesses here.
I mean, the beauty of I relate to this series as if it's its own being. And it was calling me in even before it began. And it felt like now is the time was to do it this year, perfectly right when the year of the dragon started. And I would love for this series to just continue to live and evolve in the epic, like bringing in more like epic musicians and creating like just these unbelievable, like unfathomable experiences for whoever it is that I am singing for, and ultimate vision would be for it to get picked up by something and for its wings to spread even further to more people, because I really believe that sound is a technology we're only beginning to understand, and the more people that get to receive the beautiful codes that come through of the people that I am doing these with, the better off the world is. So
Yay.
it's
Thank you.
Yeah. I love you guys.
Love you
So
too.
it is.
So it is. Thank you for asking. We did it.